Hello, and welcome to this overview of the First Things First State Fiscal Year 2024 through 2027 Strategic Plan. As Arizona's only public funding source dedicated exclusively to early childhood, First Things First has supported the development, health, and early learning of children birth to age 5 since it was created by voters in 2006. My name is Josh Allen, and as interim CEO of First Things First, I'm pleased to share this brief overview of the proposed FTF strategic plan. First Things First vision and mission are centered on the fact that a child's first 5 years of life have a powerful impact on their future and the future of our state. These early years offer an unmatched opportunity for our state and local communities to build a solid foundation for success for Arizona's youngest children. In January 2020, First Things First embarked on a 2-year process to create a strategic plan to guide the organization's effort from State Fiscal Year 2024 through State Fiscal Year 2027. On behalf of the board, thank you to the many Arizonans who participated in this in-depth planning process. This includes the FTF State Board and Strategic Planning Committee, FTF Regional Council members, as well as state and local partners representing Arizona's rural, urban, and tribal communities. The strategic planning process included a focus on FTF statutes and the original intent for the organization, which was not to supplant or replace existing programs, but to enhance the work that other entities were doing and fill gaps in school readiness supports for young children. Early in the planning process, First Things First State Board developed a vision for its next strategic plan. A next level of FTF excellence statement, which included 4 fundamental areas of commitment, was created. This statement makes clear that the new strategic plan would be an FTF-centric plan, meaning that it will focus more on the work that FTF would do and less on the work of the whole early childhood system. The 4 fundamental areas of commitment include: 1, that the plan be clear, concise, and equity-focused. 2, that the plan will seek to achieve collective impact with other state agencies. 3, that the plan include appropriate metrics in order to be informative and accountable. And finally, that the plan provide a path for more stable and sustainable funding structure. This last point is important since FTF, which receives about 94% of its annual revenues from tobacco taxes, has faced and will continue to face dramatic declines in tobacco tax revenues. This plan seeks to focus declining resources for maximum impact. In addition, the First Things First State Board reaffirmed key values that guide the work of First Things First. You can see all these listed here, but they include centering our work on young children and their families, a focus on accountability and innovation, a commitment to equity and diversity, and an emphasis on continued collaboration with state system partners. And finally, the board established guiding principles for the strategic plan. These are listed here, but they include a priority of serving under-resourced and underserved children and their families, continuing to partner and collaborate with others, continuing to be a leader in Arizona's early childhood system, and supporting a data-informed approach to continuous improvement. In 2010, First Things First convened the Early Childhood Task Force to establish a vision and design a model early childhood system that addressed all facets of young children's learning, health, and development. The 2010 task force recognized that the model system must be one in which all Arizona's early childhood partners, including families, early educators, health providers, state agencies, Indian tribes and nations, advocacy organizations, service delivery organizations, philanthropies, faith-based institutions, business representatives, policymakers, and others played a role. The model early childhood system developed in 2010 identified 6 outcomes that are still relevant today. When these 6 outcomes are achieved, the early childhood system will be successful and everyone will benefit from living in communities where young children thrive. During first things first comprehensive strategic planning process, these 6 desired outcomes were the organizing basis for an extensive review of FTF's past and current work. 13 strategy review groups were convened, made up of FTF board members, regional council members, and system partners from across the state who held expertise in particular areas of focus. Each group completed an in-depth analysis of the current FTF statewide and regional programmatic and system building efforts, including impact, effectiveness, and alignment with FTF state statutes. You can see the 13 strategy area reviews listed here. From these in-depth reviews, recommendations were made, including ranking the 13 strategy areas. These rankings were based on an assessment of each strategy area's importance to achieving first things first vision, mission, and statutory objectives, as well as the role, responsibility of other entities in achieving outcomes for young children within that strategy area in Arizona. After all of this review, analysis, and discussion, First Things First Board prioritized 6 areas for its statewide strategic plan. 1, quality first. 2, access to quality care. 3, professional development for early childhood education professionals. 4, building awareness of the importance of early years. 5, parenting education. And 6, navigating and connecting families to resources. This prioritization has been established to best ensure statewide sustainability of FTF's early childhood program and services. About 94% of FTF's annual revenues come from tobacco taxes, which have been declining steadily since the agency's inception. As FTF faces expected ongoing dramatic declines in tobacco tax revenues, State Fiscal Year 2030 estimated revenues are expected to be less than 41% of the baseline 2008 revenues. This strategic plan seeks to focus declining resources for maximum impact. It's important to note that all 13 strategy areas and the programmatic strategies within those areas are all still available for regional councils to invest in. But the board is recommending that each FTF region invest 80% of funding within these 6 prioritized strategy areas. This image shows the FTF programmatic strategies that are included within the 6 prioritized strategy areas. These 6 prioritized strategy areas are more FTF-centric systems. Partners may still play a role, but FTF plays a leadership role in advancing goals in these areas. In fact, these programmatic strategies currently comprise 85% of FTF's funding statewide. FTF will continue to work in other areas, but those efforts will be more concentrated in systems building and supporting those who hold primary responsibility for the work. Setting a statewide priorities for the work of FTF is necessary in order to achieve greater impact. Yet the board appreciates the need to maintain flexibility for individual FTF regions to address unique local considerations and the needs and opportunities in those communities. For that reason, you'll see here that while the board recommends that each region allocate 80% of funding to the 6 prioritized areas, there are also opportunities for regions to identify other priorities based on regional consideration. This would include if no regional need exists for a prioritized area, or if a lack of capacity prevents implementing services in these strategy areas. Regional funding plan recommendations, which are presented annually to the FTF State Board for review and approval, will provide information and context related to regional choices. In addition, in recognizing FTF's commitment to equity and its prioritization of under-resourced and underserved children and their families, FTF regions shall include a description of how their funding plan promotes equity and supports under-resourced and underserved children and their families. It's important to acknowledge that the rapidly shifting external context and potential changes that may arise between now and when implementation of the plan begins on July 1st, 2023. Recognizing that federal or state government decisions over the next 18 months may impact implementation of the strategic plan, the FTF board has taken care to include as much flexibility as possible while still providing guidance and direction as FTF regional partnership councils develop their regional funding plans for state fiscal years 2024 through 2027. This will help to ensure alignment of regional funding plans with the FTF strategic plan. FTF is now collecting public comment on the proposed FTF strategic plan. We invite you to comment on any and all of the areas within the plan for FTF's review and consideration. Please read the introductory materials here on the FTF website and then access the text of the proposed FTF strategic plan and comments form at the bottom of this page. Comments will be accepted through Friday, January 28th. A summary of comments received will be presented to the board strategic planning committee, which will make final recommendations to the board in February. We appreciate your interest, consideration, and comments. Thank you for your interest in FTF's new strategic plan and for your continued partnership in ensuring that Arizona's young children arrive at kindergarten ready to succeed.